Time check is 8 p.m. Nigeria time. Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV's News Prime, live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Judith Peters. And the news and details, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has intervened in the ongoing political conflict in Rivers State. The intervention was during a closed section of the Nigeria Police Council meeting at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, who briefed alongside all the governors, said with the President's intervention, peace is expected to return to Rivers State. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, who briefed alongside other governors, said with the President's intervention, peace is expected to return to Rivers State. He added that PDP governors at a meeting commended the President for his fatherly and broad leadership qualities. Rivers State Governor Simi Nalaye Fubara and his predecessor, a minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, of the political crisis that blew open in the capital of Rivers State, Port Harcourt, on Monday, were seen in the council chamber of the State House.
He has shown that he is a president for everybody, a president for PDP, a president for APC. By intervening today and bringing succor and solace to the people of Rivers and Nigeria, and making sure he did not use his big hammer and biro to extricate us, to emasculate us as opposition. We found this to be very good, and going forward, we charge that we pledge that we are going to work with him to bring good governance to the people of Nigeria.
On decisions taken at the Nigeria Police Council, Governor Bala Mohammed said President Tinubu directed the setting up of a special committee to examine the security gaps in the country with a view to harmonizing and infusing technology to police operations. Judith Peters reporting for Global TV News. An American company, John Deere, has resolved to set up a tractor assembly plant in Nigeria, occasioned by Vice President Kashim Shettima's visit to the United States, a development that has boosted the gains recorded in the country's foreign investment drive. Details of the company's interest to invest in Nigeria's agricultural sector was made known during a meeting between Vice President Shettima and top officials of John Deere, led by its Vice President on Production System, Jason Bradley. Speaking during the interaction with investors, Vice President Shettima said Nigeria is committed to transforming agriculture as a pathway to tackling insecurity and improving the livelihoods of smallholder farmers. The Vice President Shettima, who spoke on a special agro-industrial processing zones (ZABS) project, stated that it is designed to provide the infrastructure platform and frameworks for the private sector to add value to Nigeria's agricultural produce for the domestic and regional market and for the global community. As well, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has stated that the judiciary will continue to be the cornerstone of his reform in 2024. The minister made this declaration during the opening of the 2023-2024 legal year in. Speaking on behalf of the minister, the permanent secretary of FCTA, Lushade Adeshola, mentioned that the FCT administration reforms cover areas such as urban development, infrastructure, education, healthcare, and governance. Highlighting the importance of the legal system in supporting these reforms, he emphasized that the judiciary ensures contracts are upheld, disputes are fairly resolved, and justice is accessible to everyone. The minister called on members of the bench and the bar to provide guidance and support as his administration navigates the legal explicities of its reform effort. During the ceremony, the Chief Judge of FCT, Justice Hussaini Baba Yusuf, expressed concerns over the caseload in the FCT High Court, with only 58 justices on the bench. The courts are overstretched, leading to delays in the legal process and potential strain on the judicial system. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal in Abuja on Tuesday declared Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan of the People's Democratic Party as a duly elected candidate for the Kogi Central senatorial election held in February 2023. The court further dismissed the appeal filed by Abubakar Ohere of the All Progressive Congress for lacking in merit. The State Election Petitions Tribunal in September had declared Akpoti-Uduaghan winner of the Kogi Central senatorial election. Also invalidated the victory of Eri. The tribunal chairman of Justice K.A. Ojiako delivered the unanimous judgment of the three-man panel, revealing that Eri's results were inflated in 9 polling units in the Ajaokuta local government area. He added that the Independent National Electoral Commission reduced Natasha's results in these areas and omitted the results of 3 other polling units meant for Natasha in the same local government area. The tribunal judgment led Eri to seek redress. However, the appeal court further maintained that Akpoti Odiagan won the election. A development consultant and social commentator, Jide Ojo, has stated that the Nigeria Constitution and the Electoral Act do not envisage a flawless electoral system. Ojo made the remark on Global TV's breakfast show on Monday following reactions trailing the dismissal of Atiku and Obi's appeal at the Supreme Court after 8 months. Sharon Aje, who monitored the discussion, tells us more.
The building block for election is polling unit.
Right.
So in how many polling units do you have violence?
Jide Ojo highlighted lessons learned from the litigation as the Supreme Court resolved the 8-month legal battle over the outcome of February 25th presidential election. According to him, the glitches experienced with the equipment used for the elections and the untimely upload of results, coupled with other challenges in the presidential elections, ultimately did not interfere with delivery of results.
The ground for nullification election is if the election commenced late. The ground for nullification of election is not when some people cannot find their name on the register. The ground for nullification of the election is not when persons with disability were not given priority voting. These are contained in the regulation. It's there in the Electoral Act, but it's not substantial enough to use that as basis. So the substantial issue is about, was there voting? Who had majority of valid vote cast? If there were violence, how widespread is this violence? These are things that their lordship in adjudicator
we're looking at.
Will look at. They are not going to say, oh, because there was violence in Oshodi Solo. Even if the entire local government of Oshodi Solo is up in flames and people of Oshodi Solo, local government in Lagos, could not vote, or people of Amak in Abuja could not vote, their lordship will not say because there was violence in Amak,
let's nullify.
let's nullify.
Stating that electoral exercises vary in measure in terms of cost, human labor, wages, and other factors. The election analyst noted that peculiarities associated with the process of elections give more room for improvement for the electoral body. In this case, the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC.
It will appear the everyday Nigerian, with all due respect, is not very enlightened about this political process and all of the technicalities around it. But what lessons can we take away?
You know why they are not enlightened? Because there is a opposition elements who always want to discredit anything if it does not favor them. We have a pulling down syndrome. Those who are castigating their lordship, castigating INEC, if they were the beneficiary,
Would they hold that position?
would they hold that position? That's what people should be asking them. Then, okay, you say, oh, this is the worst election. I've seen people coming on here to say, oh, this is the worst election in Nigeria. And I say, on what basis are you making that conclusion? Because, you know, and these are people who have clout, who
very influential.
who are very influential. So people tend to believe them. And people like us, when we talk from informed perspective, they start saying, how much were you giving? I don't know Tinubu.
Maybe I should also ask you, how much were you given?
I don't know Tinubu. I've never benefited anything from Tinubu. I'm not a member of APC. I don't hold any partisan interest. But I understood, or let me say, I understand how election works. The peculiarities of election. And it's so because you need to safeguard the process.
Right.
It will be recalled that Atiku and Obi had raised about 7 grounds against the September 6th judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Court. Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.
The Police Council has confirmed the appointment of Kayode Egbetokun as the 22nd Substantive Inspector General of Police. This was disclosed by the Minister of Police Affairs, Senator Ibrahim Gaidam, after a meeting presided over by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the State House in Abuja. Council members believe very strongly that the new IGP has the capacity to carry out government reforms that will boost the fight against insecurity across the country.
Based on our records and what we have practically seen in him, he has a very rich CV. He has attended several police and security courses, and he is eminently actually qualified to be confirmed as a policeman.
It was the decision of the council that confirming him now will give him the necessary, confidence to lead his men. And apart from the confirmation, we also talked, the president is also desirous of security sector reforms.
So I believe very strongly that so far, with the few months that the IG has demonstrated as acting IG, it is clear that he knows what is happening in this country. He is concerned about the challenges that we are having.
Governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, said IGP Egbetokun highlighted some of the reforms that are key to tackling security challenges in Nigeria, including the need for technology-driven and community-based policing and improved budget provision.
Funding the police also came up, and I'm sure this committee of 4 or 5 will look at these critical issues that border on reforms. It was observed that there has been no meaningful reform since the establishment of the Nigerian police force, which some of us found very shocking. But I'm sure that with these experienced men that will be sitting down, they will come up with ideas that will lead to reforms that will now characterize the new Nigerian police force.
Before its confirmation as the 22nd Substantive IGP, Egbetokun was a Deputy Inspector General of the Police representing the Southwest geopolitical zone of the country. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had over 3 months ago appointed Egbetokun as the Acting Inspector General of Police. Recall that the last time the Nigeria Police Council met was on June 4, 2021, where former President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the meeting of the council. Judith Peters reporting for Global TV. The Supreme Court has moved hearing on the application by the All Progressive Grand Alliance APGA seeking to remove Hope Uzodinma from office as Imo State Governor to December 5th. The Appeals Court has fixed October 31st, 2023 for the commencement of a hearing on the matter. APGA in 2020 filed an application where the party contended that there ought to have been a fresh election in the state after the Appeals Court nullified the election of the People's Democratic Party candidate Emeka Ihedioha. The party said the Supreme Court did not rule on the validity of Uzodinma's candidacy since it was not challenged by Ihedioha and the PDP in the appeal. 3 years later, after the application was filed, the Appeals Court fixed its hearing on Tuesday. However, when journalists visited the Appeals Court on Tuesday, the matter was not listed on the court's cost list. One of the Appeals Court's registrars told journalists that the case had been moved to December 5th. No reasons were given for the postponement of the case. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeals sitting in Abuja has cleared the immediate past Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Temipire Silva, to contest the November 11th governorship election in Bayelsa State. The appellant court on Tuesday said the respondent in the appeal before it, Demo Kolomo, who is a member of the All Progressive Congress APC, lacked the legal right to approach the court for an order to disqualify Silva from the governorship race. It had earlier been reported that Justice Donatis Okorowo of a federal high court sitting in Abuja had on October 9 disqualified Silva as candidate of the APC in the election. Justice Okorowo, in his judgment, held that Silva, having been sworn in twice as governor of Bayelsa State, was unfit for the 2023 race because it allowed the contest again and eventually win the election. It will be administered oath of office for the third time, which is against the provision of the 1999 Constitution as amended. As well, the political unrest in Rivers State took a deeper crisis dimension yesterday as members of the State House of Assembly initiated impeachment moves along partisans line, with Speaker of the House Martin Amewole, his deputy Dumle Mao, and Chief Judge of the State Justice Samuel Chibuzo Amadi as the first casualties. 8 members of the state's legislature, lawyer to Governor Simi Nalayi Fubare, impeached the Speaker and his deputy not satisfied. The 8 lawmakers suspended the Chief Judge of the State Justice Amadi and directed the Governor to appoint an acting Chief Judge of the state. In a counter-attack, 24 members of the State Assembly, loyal to FCT Minister and immediate past Governor of the state, Nyesom Wike, yesterday signed a notice of impeachment against Governor Fubara. Meanwhile, the 8 lawmakers who sat in one of the buildings in Government House, Port Harcourt, elected the impeached leader of the House, Edison A, as the new Speaker. Governor Fubara and Chairman of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYCN, in Rivers State, Chijioke Iwowo, congratulated A, who was Deputy Speaker of the Ninth House of Assembly, on his emergence as Speaker of the House.
Colleagues, by the voting, those that voted in favor of the removal of Edison A as the majority leader of this House, 23, abstention nil, against nil. By that result, Edison Ehi is now removed as the majority leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly in line with our standing orders.
Members of Zamfara State Chapter of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASSN, have sealed the State House of Assembly complex. This is in compliance with the ongoing nationwide strike over the non-implementation of financial autonomy for the legislature. The Assembly workers stormed the main entrance of the complex and denied legislators entry. Addressing newsmen in Gusau, the State Chairman of PASSN, Kabiru Dauran, said the action was in compliance with the ongoing nationwide indefinite strike. He said this strike followed the expiration of the 28-day ultimatum given to the government by the association to implement financial autonomy for the legislature. According to Darren, the Assembly will remain sealed until the matter is resolved or there are any further directives from the national body of the union. As well, the Gombe State Chapter of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASSN, still has shut down the State House of Assembly. Global TV correspondent gathered on Tuesday that this complies with the nationwide strike by the association. Members of the PASSN in their hundreds carried placards with different slogans on autonomy, which included that it's right of the Assembly, not a privilege, and chanted solidarity songs. Briefing newsmen at the main gate of the State Assembly, the State Chairman of the Association, Muhammad Daku, said the measure is the only option considering the fact that the federal government failed to obey Section 1213A of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which paved the way for the legislative autonomy. According to Daku, the Assembly would remain closed indefinitely and all staff of the Assembly would remain at home. Also speaking, the State Secretary of PASSN, Aminu Aliyu, added that the closure of the State Assembly is in line with the directives given by the national body in response to the failure of the federal government to implement the financial autonomy granted to the Houses of Assembly. So the legislative workers at the Borno State House of Assembly are demanding the payment of 317 million naira from the state government as accumulated allowances and salary arrears from 3 years. This amount includes 228 million naira in 3 years arrears of the yet-to-be implemented consolidated legislative staff salary structure, the immediate implementation of which the workers demand. The two remaining parts of the cumulative 317 million naira are 59 million naira in personnel costs and 30 million naira in 3-year outstanding outfit allowances. These demands are only in addition to the granting of full financial autonomy to the legislature. The Secretary of the striking Borno State Chapter of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, Jibrin Dairu, on Tuesday in Maiduguri. Meanwhile, the newly appointed Secretary to the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, Clifford Okudiri Oparaldo, has resumed office, taking over from Professor Usman Musa. Abubakar. In a brief handover ceremony witnessed by management staff of ICPC, Oparadu expressed his appreciation to Professor Abubakar for facilitating a smooth transition and stated his desire to hit the ground running. The new secretary urged all staff to form a bond of cooperation and support in order to surmount challenges that may arise during the course of duty. According to him, working in ICPC is a nationwide goal that requires honesty, mutual respect, and partnership to take the commission to greater heights. The Kano State Agency for the Control of AIDS has commenced a premarital health screening of an additional 147 prospective couples. This is contained in a statement issued by the information officer of the agency, Usman Dati, and made available to newsmen on Tuesday. According to Dati, the Director General of the agency, Usman Bachiru, as during an inspection of the screening, explained that the exercise was aimed at providing medical evaluation and consultation, if necessary, to prospective couples. The DG also said that the objective of the screening exercise was to ensure the suitors' medical fitness and to prevent the spread of diseases that could be transmitted through marriages. He said the main areas of focus in the exercise includes HIV testing, hepatitis B and hepatitis C screening, sickle cell genotype testing, evaluation for venereal diseases, and pregnancy testing. The DG urged the prospective couples to take the exercise seriously, as the state government had provided adequate facilities and medical personnel to ensure its smooth conduct. Earlier, the Kano government has recently sponsored and officiated the mass wedding of a total of 1,800 couples. You're watching Global TV News Prime, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Well, StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across our social media platform using a Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your TV screen. We'll be back with more stories for you after the short break. Please don't go away. Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, it's the Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the News Prime from the Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Let's take a look at some foreign news, where a New Zealand tool company has been found guilty of not minimizing risks to 22 people who died in the 2019 White Island volcano disaster. George Evangelos Thomas criticized what he said were astonishing failures by Wakari Management Limited, WML, which licenses tours to the island. The case is the largest action of its kind brought by New Zealand's regulator, WorkSafe NX. The company faces up to NX $1.5 million in fines. The December 2019 eruption killed 22, almost half of the people who were on the island at the time. Most were tourists, including 17 from Australia and 3 from the US. Another 25 people were injured, with many suffering extensive burns. The volcano, known by its Maori name of Wakari, had been showing signs of heightened unrest for weeks before the fatal eruption. It is New Zealand's most active volcano and had been erupted in some form since 2011. 13 parties were charged over the disaster. WML was the last to receive a verdict after 6 had pleaded guilty, while 6 more had their charges dismissed. Sentences will be passed in February. James, Andrew, and Peter Butler, 3 brothers who owned the company, inherited the volcano and licensed all the businesses to run tours. Salanda Forensen, when a gunman who barricaded himself in a Japan post office for several hours with hostages has been arrested. 2 women were taken captive by the man in the city of Waribi on Tuesday afternoon local time. One was later released, while the second was freed after police rushed in and detained the suspect. The gunman, who is reportedly in his 80s, is thought to have also been involved in a shooting at the nearby Todachau General Hospital earlier in the day. 2 people identified as a doctor and an elderly patient were wounded in the attack. Their injuries are not thought to be life-threatening. As well, the U.S. President Joe Biden has reviewed plans to expel Uganda, Gabon, Niger, and the Central African Republic from a special U.S. African trade program. The countries were either involved in gross violations of human rights or not making progress towards democratic rule. The president said the U.S. introduced the African Growth and Opportunity Act, ANGOA, in 2000. It gives eligible sub-Saharan African countries duty-free access to the U.S. for more than 1,800 products. President Biden said that Niger and Gabon, both of which are currently under military rule following coup this year, are ineligible for ANGOA because they have not established or are not making continual progress toward establishing the protection of political pluralism and the rule of law. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea have all previously been expelled from ANGOA after military coup in those countries. And as we take a look at some business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria has called on the general public to disregard reports making round of the bank plans to redenominate the country's legal tender, which is Naira. And a statement signed by the Director, Corporate Communications, Isa Abdulmuni, reels out that there is currently no plan by the bank to restructure and redenominate the Naira. CBN expressed concerns that the narrative, which had been refuted before now, but the Airpeace Bank appears to be gaining traction with several debates on the implication of such a policy for the Nigerian economy. The Airpeace Bank reiterated that the content of the message are misleading. The authors of the message, in their mischief, modified text from an old policy move by previous CBN governor in 2007 to make it appear recent. The public is hereby advised to ignore the news report as it is speculative and calculated to cause panic in the polity. Still, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has assured Nigerians that the ongoing plan by the federal government to introduce new foreign exchange rules will reflect the true value of the Naira. He also said the plan, which would include a crackdown on illicit currency trading, would result in Naira closing its gap with the unofficial rate and reaching a fair price before the end of 2023. According to him, the government sees a fair price for the dollar at 650 naira to 750 naira. Oyedele, speaking in an interview, added that the government would set transparent rules for the operation of the official market after clearing a backlog of dollar demand estimated at about $6.7 billion. As well, the transportation of harmful non-indigenous invasive aquatic species, IAS, also known as biofouling, poses a huge threat to Nigeria's transition to blue economy. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency in Mercer on Monday said, speaking at the opening ceremony of a 3-day workshop on the transfer of environmentally sound technology project for partnering countries in Lagos. The Director General of NEMASA, Bashiru Jamo, said biofouling causes environmental burdens such as low productivity, biodiversity, lower resilience to climate change, and economic burdens, including financial loss due to low productivity. The NEMASA DG said since Nigeria import and exports are largely seaborne, the country is inevitable to expose to threat of IAS transfer into its territorial waters. The NEMASA boss stated that a healthy ocean holds healthy future for the country, stressing the need to protect the ocean, seas, and their inhabitants. The African Development Bank, the UN Economic Commission for Africa, and the UN Development Programme are set to jointly host the 2023 African Economic Conference in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, from November 16th to 18th. The conference, to be held in a hybrid format at the UN Conference Center, will bring together African ministers, UN partners, development experts, and private sector players to discuss challenges and opportunities for boosting green and sustainable industrialization in Africa. According to the organizers, the COVID-19 pandemic exposed the weaknesses of African industries and their independence on foreign manufacturers, especially for medicines and medical supplies. It also highlighted Africans' limited integration into global supply supply chains. The conference will explore options like integration into value chains, financial green businesses, public-private partnership, and expanding internal market to increase self-reliance on basic goods and services. And now on sport, Inter Miami forward Lionel Messi has claimed his 8th Ballon d'Or award, edging out Manchester City striker Erling Haaland and PSG teammate Kylian Mbappe for the top honor. The Argentine captain achieved the crowning glory of his unparalleled career when he spectacularly led Argentina to 2022 World Cup glory in Qatar. The former Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain megastar then joined Inter Miami in July and immediately set MLS aligned with a string of spellbinding performances. Barcelona ladies and Spain star Aitana Bonmati won the Women's Ballon d'Or award, while Erling Haaland won the Gerd Muller Trophy 2023 after firing Manchester City to the treble last season. Haaland won the award of the highest scoring male player in 2022/2023 thanks to the 56 goals he bagged for City and Norway. The 23-year-old narrowly piped Kylian Mbappe to the prize after a Frenchman scored 55 times for Paris Saint-Germain and France. Haaland enjoyed a record-breaking first season at City following his €51 million in Nigeria and a $62 million move from Borussia Dortmund in the summer of 2022. Still on sport, where the Australian Tuesday decided against Biden for the 2024 Football World Cup, strengthening Saudi Arabia's position as a favourite to host the event. Football Australian pulled its bid on the October 31st deadline after the Asian Football Confederation threw its weight behind Saudi Arabia. Global football body FIFA has invited bids from the Asia and Oceania region for the rotation World Cup hosting right after naming Morocco, Spain and Portugal as joint hosts for 2030. Australia and New Zealand jointly hosted the Women's World Cup this year, and it was generally regarded as a success. Saudi Arabia's ambition to host the 2034 Men's World Cup and the latest step in a campaign to turn the kingdom into a global sport powerhouse. And for more updates on sports, let's now join Sharon Ajay.
Nigerian's Victor Osimhen has finished in the 8th position in the 2023 Ballon d'Or award, which was held in Paris, France, last night. The Napoli forward became one of the few Nigerians to be nominated for the Ballon d'Or and went a step further by making the top 10, becoming the first Nigerian to do so. The 24-year-old also won the highest goal scorer award after scoring 26 goals to become the first African to win the prize. Osimhen was the highest-ranked player from the continent at this year's award, with Liverpool and Egyptian forward Mohamed Salah ranked 11th. In the women's category, Super Falcons and Barcelona striker Aishat Oshola finished in the 20th position. Meanwhile, Idowu Rashid knocked out George Ojukwu to claim the Heritage Boxing Entertainment Light Heavyweight title at the FHA field in Festac Town, Lagos on Sunday. Rashid sent Ojukwu to the floor in round 2 of their round 6 bout after earlier dropping his opponent in the first round as he claimed the TKO win. Rashid suffered a KO loss of his own to Lekon at the indoor sports hall of the National Stadium, Lagos. Sharana J reporting for Global TV News.
And that's it on Global TV News Prime, coming to you live from the Nigeria's capital, Abuja. One Star Times Channel 276. Kindly follow us across our social media platform using the Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your TV screen. On behalf of the production team, I am Judith Peters. Thank you so very much for watching. I'll see you again.